Voila. You already know, man. We here. This right here is a throwback, man, but I believe it was a great show. You know. Shout out to the people, man. Get on up in here, man. Let's have the conversation. Jesse Lee Peterson versus Dr. Umar Johnson, the Prince of Pan Africanism, the King Kong of consciousness. Oh man, this is gonna be a good one. You know, Jesse Lee. He said, racism doesn't exist. You blacks are just lazy and unproductive. Words of Jesse Lee Peterson. Oh man, where you at, man? Shout out to my people, man. We here, man. Back with another show. You already know. Tap in, subscribe to the channel, make it do what it do. Peace to everybody. Like I said, man, peace to everybody for tapping in, man, for this one right here. This right here gonna be a classic. So we're gonna have the show, man. It is what it is, man. Yes, yes, yes. You are tuned in to one of the best. He said, I'm glad you're going live. And shout out to you, JG. Shout out to JG, man. You know, a lot of people, man, and I got to bring some people out of the abyss because you got some people who got blocked on my last channel for no reason. Sometimes you have trigger happy minds, but then you have people who deserve to get blocked, and I don't think that some of you guys who got blocked, and I'm talking about earlier this year, like around January, February, March, maybe even like April. So I'm working on that right now, bringing a lot of people back who didn't deserve to get blocked. But for the people who did deserve, for the people who do deserve to be blocked, then it is what it is. But shout out to my people for tapping in, man. Remind me later of that. T-Fan 1, man, what's happening? Yes, man, you're in the place to be. Tap on in with your player partner, your boy, King Supreme. Indeed. So you got Tammy Mack, Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, Dr. Umar Johnson, and Michael I Am Hotep. That's a hell of a name. I Am Hotep. No, I'm Hotep. That's his name. What's up, man? What's up? What's up with my people, man? Tap on in here, man. This one, hey, man, it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be great. You know, you got Jesse Lee Peterson celebrating White History Month, man. That's crazy. JG, what it do, bro? Afro Merchant, what it do? What's popping? Shout out to my people out there, man. Yeah, man. We're gonna build this channel up. We're gonna keep it monetized. We're gonna build it. It is what it is. We're gonna keep digging. We're gonna keep building. Oh dog, man, what it do, my brother? Shout out to you. Soon as we get past the 5-minute mark, we're gonna start doing our show, man, and we're gonna dive right into it. Now, Jesse Lee Peterson says that racism doesn't exist. Racism is a figment of your imagination. Don't wake me, I'm dreaming, yeah. Don't wake me, I'm dreaming, yeah. Jesse said, nah, racism isn't true. Racism doesn't exist. It's only a figment of your imagination. Words of Jesse Lee Peterson. Now, sometimes I think to myself and I say, do Jesse really believes this? Or is he just saying that to gain more followers to get more white conservatives to support him, to get more white conservatives to subscribe to him. Because at some point I said he can't possibly believe this. Racism doesn't exist. He said it never existed and it doesn't exist today. That's what Jesse said. I think we all know that these black conservatives are pandering to that MAGA audience. Clearly, they're pandering to MAGA people. No, listen, let me tell you something. No logical thinking human being would fix their mouth to say that racism never existed in this country and it doesn't exist today. Nobody who operates with common sense would fix their mouths to say that. But according to Jesse Lee Peterson, racism doesn't exist. Blacks are just lazy and they're begging for handouts. That's what Jesse said. Lord Jesus. What up, Red? My question. Do you believe marriage and family values is over in the black community? There's some truth to that, right? A lot of people don't have these family values. A lot of people don't believe in that, right? But you do have people who do believe in it. But the thing is, the culture is messed up, right? You got a lot of women out here who say they want to get married, but they're not marriage material. You got women out here got jobs and they make their own money and they still want a man to take care of them. Imagine that. Imagine you taking care of a woman and paying everything and she got a job and she get up and go to work like you. This ain't the 1950s to where women didn't have jobs and careers. This ain't the 50s. We're living in 2025. The cost of living is going up. A lot of these chicks are single mothers. They're bringing children to the table from previous relationship. And you think that a man is going to pay 100% and provide for you and another man's child or another man's children? Keep dreaming. Those days are over. See, you got to adapt to what's going on today. You would be a fool to live like the men did in the 1950s. In the 1950s, black folks were dealing with Jim Crow laws. You were dealing with Jim Crow laws. So the marriage thing is really not going to happen because a lot of people ain't in tune with the reality. A lot of these women are selfish and they're only thinking about themselves, right? Then they say, well, men have kids too. Well, let me tell you something. Men with children are not asking women to provide for their children. You don't see men on social media saying, I need a woman to provide for me and my children. I need a woman to step up and take care of me and mine. You don't see men saying that. So a woman is not obligated to provide for a man's children. That's the difference between women with children and men with children. So the family values and the family structure in the black community is twisted because a lot of women have been indoctrinated with feminism. And unfortunately, a lot of men been raised by these women who's been indoctrinated in feminism. So if you got generations of men who were raised by females who were feminists, then you got the females who've been indoctrinated with feminism. So the system is messed up. The system is tainted. You got a lot of females with unrealistic expectations, thinking that a man who's not the father of their children is gonna wipe them up and provide 100%, so that she can just sit at home and do nothing. Let me tell you something about dating single mothers, and I know a lot of single mothers are gonna get mad at this, but I got to tell you the truth. I got to be honest. If you get in a serious relationship with a single mother, you're going to be raising somebody else's child, providing for that child, and you're going to have another man that's always going to be in your business. That doesn't sound like a good deal for a man who's looking to start his own family. It's just not a good deal. Shout out to Almighty Push. I appreciate you, man. And shout out to you for doing your thing. And ladies, this ain't no knock at the ladies, but I got to be honest about what's going on out here in the dating scene. Now you understand why a lot of men don't want to get married, because the dating market is oversaturated with single mothers who are looking for men to become providers for their children. So like I said, you're going to be raising another man's kid. And a lot of times the woman might not even agree on how you want to discipline that kid. So you're not the daddy, so you always got to remember that. She might not want you disciplining that kid the way that you see fit. But that same woman don't have a problem with you providing 100%. Right? She don't want you to discipline that child the way that you see fit, but on the flip side, she wants you to provide 100%. So now you're raising another man's child. You can't discipline the child the way that you want to discipline the child because the child ain't yours biologically. The woman wants you to provide financially, but she doesn't really want you to discipline that child the way that you see fit. And on top of that, you're always going to have another man in your business. So when you think about the cost of living, and it's too much, man. It costs too much money to have your own child, let alone spending your money to raise somebody else's child. That's another man's responsibility. You know, one thing I ain't never did. Let me tell you something I ain't never did. You know, with my kid, with my son, I've never asked a woman to give me money to provide for my son. I've never had to ask for that. Even if I wasn't doing good at that particular time, I pulled myself up by the bootstraps. I went out there to get it. I never asked a woman to give me money. I never asked a woman to give me something to provide for my child. Right. But see, a lot of single mothers are struggling. Right. And a lot of people don't want to hear this because most people don't want to hear the truth. But the fact of the matter is this: a lot of single mothers are struggling financially. That doesn't mean that they're bad people. Their situation is just unfit for a man who's looking to start his own family. Like right now, it costs a lot of money to raise children. So do you really want to spend your money providing for another man's child? That's something you got to ask yourself if you're thinking about taking this single mother serious. And we all know that a lot of Black women don't want to get married until their 30s, right? And by the time they reach their 30s, they already got children by other men. So that complicates the dating pool. Now you understand why the marriage rate in the Black community has went down. I said it before and I'm gonna say it again. Most Black women don't want to get married until they hit their 30s. And by that time, they already have children by other men. And men with their stuff together, men who are high earners, they're not looking to wife up single mothers. It's not that they have a problem with it's not that they have a problem with the chick because she's a Black woman. Her situation is not fit for the way he's envisioned things, for the way that he wants to live his life. So we all know, and let's be real, you know, if we can tell white people the truth, we can tell Black people the truth. We can tell Latino people the truth. We can tell everybody the truth. Everybody must be held accountable. Everybody needs to hear the truth. We all know that most Black females are not trying to get married until they hit their 30s. And by the time they reach their 30s, they already have children by other men. Now you got to ask yourself, if you're thinking about taking this single mother serious, are you willing to provide for another man's child? Then you got to consider this. She probably don't want you to discipline that child the way that you see fit, but she wants you to provide financially. So think about it. You're going to be the provider financially, but you can't even discipline that child the way that you see fit. She don't make her kids eat at the table. She don't make her kids clean up. So if you're the man in the house, you should be able to discipline that kid. And in a lot of cases, these women don't want you disciplining their kid, but they want you to provide for that kid, which means the money that you make benefits that child because you're paying rent, you're paying bills there. That benefits that child, even though you're not the father of that child. So think about it. You're taking care of a kid that's not yours biologically. You're providing financially, but you can't discipline the kid the way that you see fit. That's not a good deal for a man who's looking to start a family. And a lot of women don't look at it like that because they're selfish. They're only thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about what affects the man because they're only thinking about themselves. Unfortunately, that's the reality in the dating game. You know? So anyway, man, hit the like button and support the show. You're going to provide for this child, but you can't discipline that child the way that you see fit. That is a bad deal. And on top of that, her baby daddy going to always be in your business. You know why? Because he's going to say, you got another man around my children. I need to know what's going on. So you got another man in your business all the time. You're providing for a child that's not yours biologically. You can't discipline a kid the way that you would discipline your own kid. That is a bad deal for a man who's looking to get married. Start your family from scratch, family. And a lot of women are going to get upset, but I don't give a damn. I am here to look out for men in their best interest, as well as black people in general. Anyway, man, let's get to this content.
Right?
Yeah, it is used just like the word racism. We all know that there's no such thing as racism. It's a word that made up to deceive the blind. And so
there's no such thing as racism. Wow, this dude is crazy to the Z. Yeah, ladies ain't gonna like that because the ladies don't like the fact that I'm educating men on the pros and the cons that comes with dealing with single mothers. You know, they don't want me to educate men about what's really going on when you date single mothers and you take them serious. You know, the ladies don't like for me to educate the brothers about what's really going on. They don't like that. But anyway, they're going to have to deal with it because it's my job. I'm going to continue to educate men about what's really going on. Now you understand why marriages in the black community has decreased over the last few decades. You know, women don't want to get married. Black women don't want to get married to their 30s. They already got children by then. She's set in her ways. She got a child by another man. You can't discipline the kid the way that you see fit. You got another man in your business. She's struggling financially, so you're gonna have to pick up the tab. So there's a long list of problems that comes with dealing with the majority of these single mothers. I'm not saying all single mothers, but I am saying the majority. Anything over 50% is a majority. Not all, but most, as Jesse Lee Peterson would say. Not all, but most. This applies to.
Reverend Jesse, you say that there's no such thing as a sellout, but you can't admit that the word sellout does exist and that it is used, right?
Yeah, it is used just like the word racism. We all know that there's no such thing as racism. It's a word that made up to deceive the blind. And so when they use the word sellout, it's meant to divide and conquer. But if you're not in a fallen state, meaning that Satan is not your daddy, you can see the game that's being played. Like Dr. Umar just said, he just spoke as a blind man. He has no idea what he's talking about because there's no such thing as slavery.
There's no such thing as slavery. Yes, it is, Jesse. You're pandering to a MAGA audience. Shout out to Almighty Push. Almighty Push said, keep speaking the truth, Red. Shout out to Almighty for the super chat. He said, keep pushing the truth, Red. Being that I'm financially independent now after being debt-free, taking care of a single mother will be the worst investment ever for me in my current situation. I mean, it could be. Even if the woman's not a single mother and she's just the wrong woman for you, that could be a terrible investment as well. But just think about a woman who don't have the same values as you. She don't want you to discipline the child, but she wants you to provide for the child. She's struggling financially. She wants you to pick up the tab, right? That could be one of the worst investments that you've ever made. So you got to be mindful of that. You got to always consider these cons when it comes to dating these single moms and women in general. But I'm going to continue to educate the men. You know, ladies don't like it when I educate men. They don't like that. But shout out to Almighty Push for the super chat.
Syndrome or whatever he said. Our battle is a spiritual battle. It's either right or wrong, good or evil. And in the good old days when boys were boys and men were men, men knew that and they led their wives and children in the right way to go. And they did have a conduct of morality. Well, they treated everyone they would like in the way that they would like to be treated, never mind the color. They taught their children how to work and be responsible and not blame and whine. And they didn't put it out there as though they couldn't make it. Dr. Umar Johnson just made up words.
Reverend Jesse, I don't think we should suggest that one person knows more than the other in a sense of you saying you know it all and anyone else on the panel knows less. That's a little unfair.
Yeah, well, I may not know my flowers, but I know Dr. Umar Johnson is blind and that he's wrong. And he doesn't know God. So he's telling people words, fancy words, in order to deceive them. If you knew that our battle is a battle between good and evil, then you wouldn't make up words in order to deceive. You would tell the truth and hope that those who are blind may wake up and see the right way to go. I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama under the Jim Crow law. And back then, black people...
There were no slaves on that.
So how you going to say racism doesn't exist, but then you say you was raised in Alabama on the plantation. Systematic white supremacy was real big in Alabama. Alabama was one of the most racist states in the country. When you think about the church bombings, all the lynchings, all the hangings. So you just contradicted yourself. How you gonna say, listen, listen, bro, Jesse Lee Peterson was born in 1949. So he was raised in the 50s. For him to fix his mouth to say that racism never existed and it doesn't exist today, this man is clearly pandering to white conservatives and a MAGA audience. Nobody in a right mind will fix their mouths to say something as stupid as that. Man, this is crazy.
May wake up and see the right way to go. I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama under the Jim Crow law. And back then, black people—
There were no slaves on that plantation?
Well, yeah, they had, you know, matter of fact, my grandparents' parents ran the plantation, but they weren't slaves when I was growing up. And the point is, black people had a sense of morality then, and they loved what was right. They worked hard. They loved their country. They didn't blame because the men were leading the way.
Hold that thought, Reverend Jesse.
Now the black men saw like women.
Hold that thought, Reverend Jesse. Dr. Umar, go ahead. I don't want him to bring your name up.
Let's hear what Dr. Umar has to say. Bless the like button, family. Shout out to Almighty Push for the super chat. You know,
allow you to respond.
It's okay. I had been on Reverend Jesse's show before, and they have been trying diligently to have me come back. And one of the reasons I did not return to the show is because I believe that Jesse Lee Peterson knows better. In fact, he would be a textbook definition of a sellout, because he is the type of black man who will bend over backwards to absolve the American white power structure of any responsibility for what happens to black people. And like many sellouts, they always ignore or they try to retreat away from acknowledging the role that systemic racism plays in the life of black people. Racism is not only about the individual mistreatment of black people, it is about the systemic mistreatment of black people. See, racism—
Dr. Umar is 100% correct about what he said about he's 100% correct. When you think about what he just said about Jesse Lee Peterson will bend over backwards so that he doesn't have to hold white people accountable for anything. Officer Tatum has that same mindset. Ringo TV has the same mindset. Angry Man, you know, the conservative twins, Anton Daniels, they will bend over backwards so that they don't have to hold white people accountable for anything. But on the flip side, they hold black folks accountable for everything. So he will bend over backwards to protect that power structure. Dr. Umar Johnson is 100% correct about Jesse Lee Peterson.
Better. In fact, he would be a textbook definition of a sellout, because he is the type of black man who will bend over backwards to absolve the American white power structure of any responsibility for what happens to black people. And like many sellouts, they always ignore or they try to retreat away from acknowledging the role that systemic racism plays in the life of black people. Racism is not only about the individual mistreatment of black people, it is about the systemic mistreatment of black people. See, racism is a system that all white people participate in to disadvantage all members of another group. So you don't opt in, you don't opt out. And members of the target group don't opt in or opt out. But what they can do, as Jesse Lee Peterson has so effectively done in his career, is they can identify with the power structure. They can identify with white racism, and they can carve out a niche for themselves by defending the racism that is attacking black people, as opposed to defending black people against that racism. A black man in America who does not stand up for his people, and in turn aligns himself with the structure that is eating away at the opportunities of Black people can go very far in this country. Senator Tim Scott is an example. Jesse Lee Peterson is an example. And we will continue to create these types of personalities, Sister Tammy, if we don't come up with the code and if the Black community doesn't start holding its members accountable for dysfunctional behavior.
And there were slaves in America. That is not happening today. And it wasn't happening when I was growing up in Alabama.
During Alabama, Jesse Lee Peterson was born in 1949. That was Jim Crow, sir. Jim Crow was another form of slavery. Jim Crow placed a lot of restrictions on Black people so that they couldn't advance in society. You can't move up in the company, even if you've been working this job for 50 years. You can't live in certain areas. You can't go to certain schools. You can't eat at certain restaurants. There was a lot of things that Black people couldn't do in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. You know, you were living under Jim Crow laws. They placed so many restrictions on Black people. In reality, it was just another form of slavery, minus the slave plantation. That's it. That's all. Jim Crow was just a modernized version of slavery. That's all it was. Jim Crow lasted from 1865 to 1965, right?
This idea that slavery is the cause of the lack of morality for Black people is insane. It's just another sign of an illogical mindset. Because when I was growing up,
Well, what's the excuse for these racist white folks who lack morality? Black people still get hung. They still get lynched in the South. And there's a lot of racist white supremacist groups that exist today in this country. So what's the excuse for white people who lack morality? You know, you always want to talk about Black folks. What's the excuse for these white boys who become white supremacists and mass shooters? I mean, you did say that white people grew up in two-parent homes, good communities, great families, and two-parent, and they grew up in a two-parent structure. So if white people got everything together, what's the excuse for white people? What's the excuse for the white community producing mass shooters, Nazis, and white supremacists? What is their excuse for producing that? See, he never wants to talk about morality when it comes to white folks because he don't want to hold them accountable for anything.
Bathroom was outdoors, you know, outside bathroom. I had to work the cotton fields and things like that. But it was the character of the man or the woman that counted. And when I was growing up, Black people at that time were known to be men and women of character. Today, Black people, not all, but most, are known to be men and women who lack character. The world knows that Black people are suffering not because of this phony idea of racism, slavery, systemic racism, and all that crap. They know that Black people are immoral, that they come from failing parents, and that they hate everybody and they have no love.
You can't talk about hate, man. Who created hate and racism in this country? It's mighty funny that Jesse's not going to hold the people accountable for, he's not going to hold the people accountable. We already know who created racism, hate, and segregation in this country. It's white folks. It seems like they're the ones who lack moral character. If you want to talk about morality, Blacks ain't never enslaved white folks in this country. We've never created laws to oppress whites in this country. But you got the nerve to talk about morality? What's the excuse for the white community producing all of these mass shooters and serial killers? What's the excuse for that? I mean, you say white people have morality, that they come from a two-parent family home structure, decent communities and decent families. What's the excuse for the white community producing all of these serial killers and mass shooters? I would love to hear the excuse for that. But Blacks are the ones who lack morality, not the people who created racism and hate in this country. Nah, they don't lack morality.
That's
Everybody
not your
knows
story,
it,
is it,
but
Reverend
they're
Jesse?
afraid to tell the Blacks.
That's not your story, is it, Reverend Jesse? Is that your story?
No, because I was raised differently. I was raised to treat all in the way that I would like to be treated, to be fair and to be honest, because you're either children of God or children of Satan, and it has nothing to do with the color. And the children of God cannot hang out with the children of Satan because they have their hearts are wicked and they have illogical mindset. The two men that just spoke, it made no sense.
So
But
I'd like for you.
I told you that black conservatives can't hold white people accountable. So he claims that blacks are the ones who lack morality, when we all know that whites are the ones who created racism, segregation, and hate in this country. White folks are the ones who created all that mess. But you got the nerve to say that we lack morality, but you're not going to hold the people accountable who created racism, segregation, and hate in this country? Amazing, isn't it? Amazing that he's not going to hold them folks accountable.
You to
it's
teach me. I want
illogical.
to.
They don't have a
like for
logic.
you to, Reverend Jesse. I would like for you to teach me for a moment here.
Yes.
Please break me away from tradition and what I've been taught in the white schools that I've attended that suggest that there was this society in America that wouldn't allow white people and black people to drink from the water fountains. Did the white institutions I attend teach me that wrong, or was that correct? I'm ready to learn from you.
Well, as a matter of fact, when I was growing up, I remember the colors only signs and the whites only signs. But because most black people loved what was right.
So how you gonna say, see, this is how you know Jesse is an idiot, and you can't have a logical conversation with him. Now, he just fixed his mouth to say that he remembered growing up seeing that no blacks allowed and seeing no blacks here, no blacks there. But prior to that, he said that racism doesn't exist in this country. Well, if you're telling me that I can't eat at a restaurant because I'm black, that's racism. If you're telling me that I can't go to this school because I'm black, that's racism. But this fool just fixed his mouth to say that racism doesn't exist, just to admit that when he lived in Alabama, you seen no blacks here, no blacks there. No blacks could use this bathroom. No blacks could drink out of this water fountain. Clearly, that's racism, Jesse. Jesse is a hypocrite, and he'll never admit that he's a hypocrite. I just proved that he's a hypocrite. The man just contradicted himself. Well, I grew up in Alabama, and I seen signs that said no blacks. But you said, and we all know that's racism. But you just said racism doesn't exist. My God, man, this dude. One thing about black conservatives, they can say the most ridiculous things that doesn't make any sense. And white conservatives and white Republicans, they will support that because that's the narrative that they want to push anyway, even though logically it makes no sense. Racism doesn't exist, words of Jesse Lee Peterson. But then later on, he admits to, oh, well, I grew up in Alabama. There was signs that said no blacks here, no blacks there. That's racism, Jesse. You're telling me that I can't eat here just because of the color of my skin. But racism doesn't exist. It's never existed in this country.
White institutions I attend teach me that wrong, or was that correct? I'm ready to learn from you.
Well, as a matter of fact, when I was growing up, I remember the colors only signs and the whites only signs. But because most black people loved what was right, they loved God, they knew that all white people did not feel that way. It was primarily the white people who belonged to the Democratic Party, and they didn't want blacks to be a part of the Democratic Party. And so that's why the blacks started the Republican Party, because the blacks. So when we dealt with for black only signs, for white only, common sense said it wasn't everybody. It was those who serve evil.
But it was majority of the white people. We can agree with that.
No,
right?
it wasn't the majority of black people. It was a few.
I said majority of the white people.
I'm sorry?
Let's get back on to sellouts. Dr. Umar.
Yes, ma'am. And I would like to respond to him, if I may, Sister
And it
Tammy.
wasn't the majority of whites.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dr.
I want to clarify something when we talk about race.
It doesn't take a large majority of white people to create a power structure that benefits whites in general. So it doesn't take the majority of white people to own slaves to create a white power structure in this country. Right? When you think about the whites who did own slaves, the whites who did practice white supremacy, they put white folks in position to be wealthy in this country because white people became wealthy off of the free labor that they got from us in this country. And white people passed that wealth down from generation to generation to benefit white people. So that white people will own land. So that white people will own these corporations and companies. So they did everything in their power to keep the wealth in the hands of white men in this country. So then you don't need a majority of white people in this country to create a white power structure. All you need is a decent amount of white people who can come together collectively to uphold systematic white supremacy. And that is how whites got wealthy in this country. hands down. I don't want to hear nothing else.
Racism. Racism is not an individual personality fault.
It doesn't
of white
exist,
people.
man.
Racism is not about individual personality. Racism is about systemic injustice,
Right.
systemic bias, systemic disproportionality, systemic discrimination. You do
That's
not opt
dumb.
out of you do not opt out
That
of
is
racism.
dumb.
All white people benefit from and participate in racism. So whether your ancestors owned Black people or not is irrelevant. And the reason it is irrelevant, Sister Tammy, is because even if your ancestors didn't own Black people, they worked at a job that was created because of the enslavement of Black.
That's what I just said. Shout out to Dr. Umar. Even if you as a white person, your family members didn't own slaves, you can still work for a corporation and a company that got wealthy because of slavery. And that same company puts other white people in positions of power. So they still benefit from it, regardless if their family owns slaves or not. If I'm a slave master, right, and I got wealthy from owning slaves, now I got corporations and companies where I only hire white people. And a lot of white people that I'm hiring, their families never owned slaves, but they benefit from this company because we got rich off of white supremacy and we got wealthy off of foundational Black Americans' free labor. Once again, white people, even if their family didn't own slaves, they can get jobs at those corporations and companies that exist only because of white supremacy. So which means they could hire other white people and keep white people in positions of power in these companies. So white people still benefit, they still benefit from it, even if they didn't own slaves personally, even if their family never owned a slave. They still benefit from the power structure that their people created. Don't let them tell you nothing different. Shout out to Dr. Umar for breaking that down.
Or not is irrelevant. And the reason it is irrelevant, Sister Tammy, is because even if your ancestors didn't own Black people, they worked at a job that was created because of the enslavement of Black people. So there's no such thing as slavery did not impact my family. Just like in today's America, all white people benefit from the mass incarceration of Black people. They benefit from the miseducation of Black children. They benefit from the police brutality against Black people. So I want to make sure we are clear.
What you're saying
Racism is not about individual white people.
But when
It's not just about individual white people, because white people in general benefit from that power structure. If white people created corporations and companies all across the country because they got wealthy from slavery, they got wealthy from our free labor, what they're going to do with that money is they're going to put other white people in positions of power. And a lot of these white people, their families never owned slaves, but they can work for a company that's going to uplift white people and put whites in a position of power. So down the line, they still benefit from it. Because the main goal for whites in this country, their main goal was to keep wealth in the hands of white men and white people in general. So when they say, well, my family didn't own slaves, you still work for a corporation and company. You work for a corporation that benefited from slavery, like Wells Fargo, that institution, many other institutions that were created with slave money. They got wealthy off of slave money. And now that they had these major corporations and companies across the country, they can hire other white people and keep them in positions of power. That's systemic racism. That's systematic white supremacy. That is how they uphold it. They keep white people in positions of power based on the money that they accumulated off of our free labor. They accumulated money off of our free labor. That put white folks in a position of power.
you're saying is a lie.
Racism is about the system of racism
That's a
that
lie.
controls opportunities and resources, Sister Tammy. Racism is not about the attitude. It's about the control of resources and opportunities.
Tammy, that is not true. This is why we have to we must get to know ourselves.
That's 100% true. You think white people fought hard to get wealthy? You think they're not going to put other white people in positions of power? They own these corporations and companies. They're going to keep white people in positions of power. That's how they uphold white supremacy. They got wealthy from our free labor. They bought all this land, all these corporations and companies. That's how whites got wealthy in this country. Look at America prior to the look at the United States of America prior to the slave trade. America was not built up. America really didn't have any foundation. America didn't have any wealth. It really didn't have any money. The United States of America got wealthy because of slavery. That is what built America's economy. Prior to that, America was nothing. The labor that foundational Black Americans gave this country, that is how white folks got wealthy. That is how America, the United States of America, that is how it became a powerhouse, because they got wealthy from slave money. 100%.
So that we can overcome that father state. Dr. Umar is evil for putting out a lie like that.
You're evil for lying and going against the facts, Jesse.
They benefit from the police brutality against Black people. So I want to make sure we are clear.
What you're saying
Racism is not about individual white people
but what
choosing
you're
to
saying
hate
is
Blacks.
a lie.
Racism is about the system of racism
That's a
that
lie.
controls opportunities and resources, Sister Tammy. Racism is not about the attitude. It's about the control of resources and opportunities.
Tammy, that is not true. This is why we have to we must get to know ourselves so that we can overcome that fallen state. Dr. Umar is evil for putting out a lie like that, or lies like that, because people are going to believe in
let's
it.
refrain from calling people names.
Okay,
Reverend
but
Jesse.
he's not telling the truth.
We have to refrain, Sister Tammy, but at the same time,
He is
I
evil.
think it's important that we understand the difference between the Negro and the coon. Sister Tammy, this is a very important distinction that has to be made. The Negro is innocent in his ignorance, Sister Tammy. As Brother Michael said earlier, some people make mistakes against the race unknowingly. If you make a mistake against the race unknowingly, that was a Negro. Negroes are innocent. They think white people are more intelligent. They think Jesus is Black because they haven't been taught any better. But a coon knows better. But the coon voluntarily identifies with his oppressor because there is an agenda that he's looking to get filled. And the sad thing about Jesse Lee Peterson is he is too old to be cooning at this point in his life. And
Jesse is too old to be cooning at this point in his life. He really is. Right? White people say that, well, my family didn't own slaves. It doesn't matter. There's a white power structure in this company. There's a white power structure in this country. All these corporations and companies were built with slave money. And what did they do with that? They put other white people in positions of power. Even if their family had nothing to do with slavery, they hired white people to keep white people in that power structure. Somewhere down the line, they still benefit from slavery, even if their family didn't own slaves personally. That is a fact, homie. All these major corporations and companies, they keep white people at the top of the food chain. They might hire a few token Negroes. You know, a lot of these corporations, they'll hire a few token Negroes to make it seem like they're not racist, but ultimately, the power structure is sewn up by white people. You know, people that's at the top of the ladder in those companies, these are all white faces for the most part. And then they'll hire a few token Negroes so it doesn't look like they're racist. That's the oldest trick in the book.
The fact that he claims to be a man of God doing the devil's work makes him a total hypocrite.
But Tammy, you know what I just...
They think Jesus is Black because they haven't been taught any better. But a coon knows better. But the coon voluntarily identifies with his oppressor because there is an agenda that he's looking to get filled. And the sad thing about Jesse Lee Peterson is he is too old to be cooning at this point in his life. And the fact that he claims to be a man of God doing the devil's work makes him a total hypocrite.
But Tammy, you know what I just want to add to that. To hear Dr. Umar and the other man to speak this way.
That's Michael.
Michael, sorry. to hear Michael and Dr. Umar speak the way it's abnormal for men. Normally, men, when I was growing up, they had logical mindset. But today's black man has an illogical mindset because he thinks like a woman. He has not overcome the spirit of the woman and returned to the logical
There
mindset
is nothing
of the
more
father,
effeminate than a
because
white
he-
man defending
he
the white
sound
power
like- he
structure
sound
against
like
black
they-
people.
Oh, so now Jesse Lee had to take a shot. He said, "You're effeminate. You think like a woman." Jesse took a shot at Dr. Umar. He said, "You black men, you guys are effeminate. You think like a woman. Why? Because you was raised by single mothers. You were raised by illogical single mothers, and as a result of that, you think just like your mother. The only difference is you're a black man who thinks like a woman." Whoa, Jesse Lee Peterson threw some shots. Shots fired by Jesse Lee Peterson.
At this point in his life, and the fact that he claims to be a
amazing. Basically, and listen, homie, in so many words, Jesse Lee Peterson called Dr. Umar a woman. Told Dr. Umar that he thinks like a woman. Shots fired by Jesse Lee Peterson. Shots fired, man.
voluntarily identifies with his oppressor because there is an agenda that he's looking to get filled. And the sad thing about Jesse Lee Peterson is he is too old to be cooning at this point in his life. And the fact that he claims to be a man of God doing the devil's work makes him a total hypocrite.
But Tammy, you know what I just want to add to that? To hear Dr. Umar and the other man to speak this way,
That's Michael.
it's Michael, sorry. To hear Michael and Dr. Umar speak this way is abnormal for men. Normally, men, when I was growing up, they had logical mindset. But today's black man has an illogical mindset because he thinks like a woman. He has not overcome the spirit of the woman and returned to the logical
There
mindset
is nothing more effeminate than a white man defending the white power structure against black people. There is nothing more effeminate than a black man defending the white power structure against black people.
Hey, why are you speaking? Hold on.
You are politically effeminate, Jesse Lee
logical
Peterson.
in their mind.
You are politically
and women
effeminate.
are illogical
You are
in their
politically
mindset, right?
effeminate.
Why are you
You
screaming
are
over me?
defending the white power structure
Hey, hold
against your own people
Hey.
while you claim to be a man of God.
Say-
Jesse Lee is defending the white power structure against his own people while claiming to be a man of God. Dr. Umar Johnson is 100% correct. Jesse Lee Peterson, you're guilty of coonery. I'm going to say it again. Jesse Lee Peterson, you were guilty of coonery.
You
Hold
are
on.
a dispower
Speaking, man,
structure
talking.
against black people.
Hey, why are you speaking? Hold on.
You are politically
supposed
effeminate,
to
Jesse
be
Lee Peterson.
logical in their mind.
You are
and
politically
women
effeminate.
are illogical
You are
in their
politically
mindset, right?
effeminate.
Why are you
You
screaming
are
over me?
defending the white power structure
Shane, hold
against
on.
your own people
Hey.
while you claim to be a man of God.
Shane,
You
hold
are
on.
a disgrace to your race, sir. You
Shane,
are
calm
a
down.
disgrace to your race.
And so
I thought
normally
Dr.
the
Umar,
men with the
let's
logical
yield 1
mindset
second.
would bring the women and children to a logical mindset to help them to overcome. But now the black men, not all but most, they think like their mothers and grandmothers. So they all think just like women, and that's why you can't get it right.
So
Because there's
indicting
an order-
racism
There's
makes
an
you
order
a woman.
to God, and that order is God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman
See,
over.
what Jesse Lee Peterson is saying is basically you're thinking like a woman because you're going against the white power structure. Now, overall, Jesse Lee Peterson has a point when you think about a lot of black men that are raised by women and their women are, when you think about the fact that a lot of black men are raised by single mothers and their mothers are feminists. So if you're raised by a mother who is a feminist, by default, her son will become feminine. He's going to take on a lot of feminine traits, effeminate traits. But in this particular case, all Dr. Umar is doing is holding white people accountable for their white power structure, holding them accountable for white supremacy in this country. Dr. Umar is just holding white people accountable, but Jesse's never going to hold that system accountable. So, to insult Dr. Umar, Jesse Lee Peterson tells him, you're thinking like a woman. You're thinking just like the black woman. That's what Jesse Lee Peterson says to Dr. Umar to insult him. Even though Umar is 100% correct about what he's saying, But Jesse Lee Peterson insults him by saying, "Oh, you think like a woman. You're thinking like a black woman."
But most, they think like their mothers and grandmothers, so they all think just like women, and that's why you can't, with the logical mindset would bring the women and children to a logical mindset to help them overcome. But now the black men, not all but most, they think like their mothers and grandmothers, so they all think just like women, and that's why you can't get it right.
So indicting racism makes you a woman.
And that order is God in Christ, Christ in man, man.
Indicting white people and holding them accountable for their system means that you're thinking like a woman. So, you know, Jesse Lee Peterson is what is it called? Ad hominem attacks, right? Now he has to find a way to insult this man because he doesn't want to hold white people accountable. So instead of saying, you know what, you have a point right there, he decided that he's gonna insult Dr. Umar by telling him he thinks like a woman because Dr. Umar chose to hold white people accountable for the system that they created here in this country in the United States of America. So Jesse Lee says, "Oh man, you're effeminate. You think just like a woman. How dare you hold white folks accountable? You're thinking like a woman."
And over woman and woman over
I'm
children.
not interested in.
I'm
not interested in a religious interpretation of racism.
Today's black woman is over the men. And
it is a mistake to use religion to interpret political phenomena.
That's why
we're going to take a quick break and we'll come right back on the Tammy McVeigh Show on Fox Soul. Let's take a quick break. We'll come right back.
Say that again.
Would you consider them sellouts?
Who?
Steve Harvey and there's another one I'm thinking of. That
I wouldn't consider Steve Harvey a sellout as strictly as
Jesse Lee Peterson came with ad hominem attacks. Ad hominem attacks. Instead of dealing with the facts, he came with ad hominem attacks, you know, by saying, "Well, you're thinking like a woman. How dare you hold white folks accountable? You're thinking like a woman, Dr. Umar." So Jesse Lee Peterson said, "You know, I'm going to insult this guy. I can't prove that he's wrong. Not really. So I'll just attack his character and say that he's thinking like a woman."
I'm not.
That's why
we're going to take a quick break and we'll come right back on the Tammy McVeigh Show on Fox Soul. Let's take a quick break. We'll come right back.
Say that again.
Would you consider them sellouts?
Who?
Steve Harvey and there's another one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, man, those are ad hominem attacks. That's exactly what they are. Ad hominem attacks. I'll just say that you're thinking like a woman because you're holding white folks accountable for their based on the fact that they practice white supremacy in this country, right? So I'll just accuse you of acting like a woman, because in the eyes of Jesse Lee Peterson, he's looking at Dr. Umar like, "How dare you hold white folks accountable for this system that they created here in America? I'm going to call you a woman for holding those people accountable." Black conservatives will never hold whites accountable for their treasonous behavior in this country. They'll never hold white. Listen, homie, black conservatives are puppets they're puppets, man. I said it yesterday. Black conservatives are puppets who are being controlled by the puppet master. And I think we all know who the puppet master is.
I wouldn't consider Steve Harvey a sellout as strictly as I would consider a Shaquille O'Neal, a Charles Barkley, and a Kendrick Perkins.
Let's get some people to bless the Cash App. Let's get bless the Cash App, $Red H03. If you love the show, you already know. You know what I mean? Those are ad hominem attacks. "Oh, you're a woman. You think like a woman." No, I'm just holding white people accountable the same way that they try to hold us accountable for everything in this country. Right? See, it's okay to hold black folks accountable, but no, it's a major problem when you hold white folks accountable.
Perkins sell out. And the reason I'm drawing a distinction is whenever Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and Kendrick Perkins open their mouth on issues involving black people, they always take the side of the white power structure. Whereas with Steve Harvey, I have seen some attempts by him to defend the integrity of black people. It's not often. I'm not even going to say it's acceptable, but there is levels to the coon kingdom. There's levels to the coon kingdom. So even though they are all sellouts, you have your grade A coons like Jesse Lee Peterson and Charles Barkley. And then you have your grade B coons, which will be like a Kendrick Perkins and a Shaq. And then you have your grade C coons, which would be like a Steve Harvey. So there's levels to the coon kingdom. Say again.
But you do put him.
Oh, he said there's levels to the coon kingdom. Hallelujah. Amen. Say it again, brother.
In the coon kingdom.
I would put Steve Harvey in the coon kingdom, but he wouldn't be grade A like Jesse Lee Peterson and Charles Barkley. And the other thing I wanted to say quickly, Tammy, with Kim Kardashian, that was a perfect example of racism on the part of the white power structure, who says, I would rather hear a white woman articulate the issues of incarcerated Black females. Now, you have hundreds of Black women who fight for the liberation of incarcerated sisters every day. I can run off organizations all day long, but instead of meeting with Black women who are in the trenches doing the work, we are instead going to let a privileged white woman articulate the issues for Black people. And Sister Tammy, that was dangerous, that Black women supported Kim Kardashian being their mouthpiece, because what it does is it reinforces an old stereotype that Black people are not intellectually sound enough to articulate their own issues and that they need a white person to do it. We should never celebrate a white person being selected to represent our issues. It should always be someone who looks like us.
That should be a part of the code.
That should be part of the code.
Go ahead, Michael. Jesse, we're coming right to you. Go ahead, Michael.
Just a quick clarification. I didn't say I wouldn't go to meet with Trump. I said I wouldn't go by myself. I would go with a group of people a group of African Americans who have a political agenda, who have an agenda to get something for our people. I wouldn't just go by myself, and I wouldn't go for a photo op.
Absolutely. Reverend Jesse.
Yes.
You're a part of the coon kingdom, he says. That's
right. You know, you just heard the voice.
Well, he is a part of the coon kingdom. You know, that's obvious right there.
To get something for our people. I wouldn't just go by myself, and I wouldn't go for a photo op.
Absolutely. Reverend Jesse.
Yes.
You're a part of the coon kingdom, he says. That's
right. You know, you just heard the voice of a beta male. That made no sense of what the doctor said and what Michael said. It's sad to see that most Black people believe that they're all the same because of their color. They're not looking at their true self. They are a spirit created in the image of God. They don't know that. They're going by colors. And so they're all in the same pot, headed down to the road to destruction.
Reverend Jesse, I want to ask you.
Donald Trump was the best thing that ever happened to Black Americans.
You see how Jesse Lee Peterson said he insulted Dr. Umar?
They are a spirit created in the image of God. They don't know that. They're going by colors. And so they're all in the same.
So they're going by colors. Jesse Lee Peterson, this country was established on color. White people are superior, and Black people and anybody who's not white is inferior. America, the United States of America, was built on those principles. So how are you going to accuse Black people of colorism when racism, when colorism ain't nothing but a symptom of racism? And who created racism in this country? The white Europeans. Colorism is a symptom of racism. Colorism stems from racism. Who created racism in this country? The white people, Jesse. But of course, Jesse can't hold white people accountable for that. He's a Black conservative, so he can never fix his mouth to hold them accountable for the things that they actually did in this country, the United States of America. Oh, no, he can't do it.
Pot headed down.
You're a part of the coon kingdom, he says.
That's right. You know, you just heard the voice of a beta male. That made no sense of what the doctor said and what Mike
called Dr. Umar Johnson a beta male. So defending your people and calling out systemic racism in this country makes you a beta male. It means that you're speaking like a woman. Jesse Lee Peterson, you are delusional. That doesn't make Dr. Umar a beta male. It makes him a stand-up man who stands up to defend the honor of his people. Let's be honest about the situation, can we?
Reverend Jesse.
Yes.
You're a part of the coon kingdom, he says.
That's right. You know, you just heard the voice of a beta male. That made no sense of what the doctor said and what Michael said. It's sad to see that most Black people believe that they're all the same because of their color. They're not looking at their true self. They are a spirit created in the image of God. And they don't know that. They're going by colors. And so they're all in the same pot.
Blacks are going by color when white people are the ones who created the whole color situation in this country. If you're white, you're superior. If you're Black or a person of color, you are inferior. Whites are the ones who created that system in this country. But you fix your mouth to say that Blacks are the ones who are fixated on culture. Who are fixated on color. We all know that comes from the white Europeans. White people created that system in this country. Whites are superior. Blacks and people of color are inferior. They created that system in this country, bruh. But we already know that you can't hold them accountable. Why? Because you're a Black conservative, and Black conservatives are compromised puppets who are being controlled by their puppet master.
Down to the road to destruction.
Reverend Jesse, I want to ask you.
Donald Trump was the best thing that ever happened to Black Americans, because Donald Trump did not see colors. He saw colors, but he wasn't into the color thing. He was into what is right. And that's why he was able to help Black people more so than any other president that we have had in the last, I don't know how many years, right? Obama was the worst, by the way, but Donald Trump.
Do you guys agree with that? Jesse Lee Peterson said that Donald Trump has helped Black people more than any other president in this country. Give me some feedback in the comments. Let me know if you guys agree with that. Donald J. Trump has done more for Black people than any other president in this country. Give me some feedback in the comment section. Let me know if you agree with that.
Was the best. I call him the Great White Hope because he made America colors. He saw colors, but he wasn't into the destruction.
Reverend Jesse, I want to ask you.
Donald Trump was the best thing that ever happened to Black Americans, because Donald Trump did not see colors. He saw colors, but he wasn't into the color thing. He was into what is right. And that's why he was able to help Black people more so than any other president that we have had in the last, I don't know how many years, right? Obama was the worst, by the way, but Donald Trump was the best. I call him the Great White Hope because he made America great again. Black people went to work. They started buying homes and starting families and things like that because of Donald Trump. But these people like Dr. Umar and Michael, they're into their color. They're in a fallen state. They're weak males, and they cannot see. They can't see that Donald Trump was a man of God. He was a conservative, Christian, straight white man who loved what's right. And he wasn't into the color. That's why Kanye West and other Black men and women who met with the president, they respected him because he was not into color. He gave Black universities more money than anybody else, and all they did was misuse it.
Did Donald Trump give Black universities more money than any other president? I don't know. Give me some feedback in the comments, because you got people who are saying, well, President Donald J. Trump has gave more money to these HBCUs more so than any other president. Nobody has gave HBCUs more money than President Donald Trump. And that's what they're saying. Give me some feedback in the comments. I want you guys to let me know if you agree with that. Let's get back to the content though in a major way. Subscribe to the channel. Bless the like button. Shout out to Stephanie for the Cash App. And shout out to Tiffany for the Cash App as well. Now, I need some of you brothers to become supporters and bless that Cash App. So far, we got Almighty Push and the two ladies who supported this show. Let's get some brothers to show some love and appreciation for this content. We stand up for foundational Black Americans 100%.
White man who loved what's right, and he wasn't into the color. That's why Kanye West and other Black men and women who met with the president, they respected him because he was not into color. He gave Black universities more money than anybody else, and all they did was misuse it. He did more to help the Blacks than anyone else.
There are all different levels of these companies that we spend money with, but bring that money back to the African American
You
community.
guys need to stop begging, man.
Bring that money back to the
black people.
Please, sir, don't interrupt.
Talk about
yield, Jesse.
Michael, stop begging.
Bring that money back to the African American
Stop
community.
begging, Michael.
And you utilize that money to help
beg.
empower African American owned businesses also. Okay?
Michael, men don't beg.
Right. Jesse just be saying anything, man, because he know it doesn't matter if he says the most ridiculous things. Those white conservatives will support him for saying these ridiculous things. Now, as a black content creator, when you say things that are true about the black community, you get minimal support for your people. But if you say nonsense as a black conservative, those white conservatives, the MAGA community, they're going to get behind you 100%. And you're going to have the coon class of the black community that's going to support you 100% if you spew these same talking points of a Jesse Lee Peterson, of an Anton Daniels, of an Officer Tatum. The MAGA community will come out in droves to support that content financially. So let's get black people to do the same thing for black people who speak up for foundational black Americans on a daily basis. We deserve that same support that these coons get from the MAGA community. Peace, love, and blessings, family. Let's get back to the content, though.
Bring that money back to the African American community,
Michael.
Bring that money.
Use it. He did more to help the blacks than anyone else.
There are all different levels of these companies that we spend money with, but bring that money back to the African American community.
You guys need to stop begging, man.
Bring that money back to the black people. Please, sir, don't interrupt.
Talk about
yield, Jesse.
Michael, stop begging.
Bring that money back to the African American.
Jesse said America is sick of black folks begging. Jesse said black folks are begging.
Begging, Michael.
And you utilize that money to help empower African American owned businesses also. Okay?
Michael, men don't beg. Please,
sir, don't interrupt me.
Begging, man.
I'm holding back on you because I respect my elders, but
shout out to my girl Pamela for the Cash App. Pamela blessed us with a Cash App too. You know, shout out to Pamela. See, anyway, man, let's get back to it.
Stop begging, Michael. What men do?
I'm not begging.
Men don't beg.
Empower African American owned businesses also. Okay?
Michael, men don't beg. Please,
sir, don't interrupt.
Begging, man.
I'm holding back on you because I respect my elders, but
stop begging, Michael. What men do?
I'm not begging.
Men make things happen. They don't beg. They don't blame.
Jesse, you wouldn't know a man if you met one.
They don't want reparations. They make their way. The black man, when I was growing up, they made their way. They didn't beg the white man for anything because they didn't.
It's not begging white people. Wait a second.
White men were superior.
If you go back to if you look at the Homestead Act of 1862, that was a massive land giveaway of 245 million acres of land that mostly went to white people. Okay, if you want to talk about how white people got over in this country, it was by stealing the land, reallocating the land, enslaving African people for 246 years,
Those are
passing laws that disenfranchised us, locked us out of voting. Then after the Civil War and after Reconstruction in 1877, because I always noticed black conservatives.
Hey man, Jesse said, "Stop begging, Michael. Stop begging. Stop begging." White folks are tired of you Negroes begging for money all the time. White folks, stop begging, Michael. Stop begging. Stop begging white folks for money, Michael. Words of Jesse Lee Peterson. I mean, Anton Daniels said the same thing. Anton Daniels said, white folks didn't give black people enough money. They gave you welfare. They gave you Section 8. They gave you food stamps. White folks didn't give you enough money. I'm sick of black people begging white people for reparations and money. I'm sick of you Negroes begging a white man for money. The white man didn't give you enough money already. You got welfare, food stamps, and Section 8. They gave black folks enough money already. White folks are sick of you Negroes in this country. Words of Anton Daniels. He said the same thing as Jesse Lee Peterson. Anton Daniel said black folks need to quit begging. White folks didn't gave you enough money already.
Enslaving African people for 246 years,
Those are
passing laws that disenfranchised us, locked us out of voting. Then after the Civil War and after Reconstruction, 1877, because I always notice black conservatives, is two things you don't want to talk about. One, you don't want to talk about the compromise of 1870. No, you interrupted me.
All
don't say
doing
excuse
making
you.
excuses.
No. Slow down.
You sound like a female.
I know you.
Hey, that's Jesse's main ad hominem attack. You're thinking like a woman, Michael. You sound like a woman. Anytime you go against a white power structure, Jesse's going to accuse you of behaving and talking like a woman. Every single time. You're behaving like a woman. How dare you question the white power structure? How dare you go against a white power structure? You're behaving and talking like a woman. Words of Jesse Lee Peterson.
Then after the Civil War and after Reconstruction, 1877, because I always notice black conservatives, is two things you don't want to talk about. One, you don't want to talk about the compromise of 1870. No, you interrupted me.
All
don't
you
say
doing
excuse
is making
you.
excuses.
No. Slow down.
You
Slow
sound
down.
like a female.
Slow down. I know you catering to the white people that donate to your show, but it's two things that black Republicans don't want to talk. And I'm not against black Republicans. I have friends that are black Republicans. You don't want to talk about the compromise of 1877, which was the compromise between the Republicans and the Democrats, and the Republicans agreed to remove the Union troops out of the South that reinstituted the Jim Crow laws, and the Union troops were protecting the rights of the newly freed slaves to a certain extent, because that's what the Democrats wanted. And you don't want to talk about the Lily White movement of 1928, which was the effort of Republicans to push African Americans out of the Republican Party and get Herbert Hoover elected as president in 1928. Now, if you want to have that conversation, we can have that conversation. It's not going to turn out the way you think it's going to turn.
Michael, it's time to stop asking for.
Shout out to the unknown one, Prisoner of Hope, for the super chat. I appreciate you. Shout out to Frankie Mac for the super chat. I will answer your question, Frankie Mac. I've been cooking, but I appreciate you, Frankie Mac. Continue to support the show. Let's get a sponsor for today's show, man. Bless the Cash App, man. $ Red 1803. Bless the Cash App. Let's get a few more brothers to become supporters of that Cash App in a major way. Jesse Lee Peterson says, stop begging white people and stop thinking and behaving like a black woman. Words of Jesse Lee Peterson.
Effort of Republicans to push African Americans out of the Republican Party and get Herbert Hoover elected as president in 1928. Now, if you want to have that conversation, we can have that conversation. It's not going to turn out the way you think it's going to turn.
Michael, it's time to stop asking for freebies. I understand the women doing that because
you ever studied the Farmers Home Association 1930?
I understand why women are doing it, but hold on, Michael.
You want to talk about the $26 billion that white farmers got from the Trump administration, and black farmers got 1/10 of 1% freebies?
Michael, I understand the women doing
Jesse,
that
is a good question. That is,
he doesn't want to deal with that.
Jesse, that is a good question. So let's answer that question. You say that black people want freebies, but Michael just talked about a huge freebie for the white farmers. Are we not gonna? We're just gonna gloss past that?
There were black farmers who got money too.
They got 1/10 of 1% or $26 billion.
She asked me the question.
Whoa, hold on.
Hey,
they got 1/10 of 1% of $26 billion. They got $20.8 million.
Tammy, as I was saying, there were black people who received the money too, and what Michael is talking about happened over 100 years ago or so. And those days,
in 2020 under Trump.
Those days are behind us.
That just happened last year, Reverend Jesse. Where you been?
There were black people who received it last year too, but you're not hearing about that. But what I want to tell you, Tammy, it's time out for black people to stop begging. I'm sick of it. We can make our own way. Black people can make their own way if they get up and do it. That's why we have to overcome this cultural thing, because blacks who are into their culture, they think that all blacks are just like them. begging and blaming and whining and talking about 150 years ago and all that. Why not?
Jesse said black folks need to stop begging and black men need to stop thinking and behaving like black women. Words of Jesse Lee Peterson. Stop begging and thinking like black women. Words of Jesse Lee Peterson. He said black men think like black women. They behave like black women. Why? Because they were raised by black women. Stop begging and stop thinking and operating like black women. Words of Jesse Lee Peterson. He calls Donald Trump the great white hope. Yeah, man, the president, Donald Trump, the great white hope. He's done more for black folks than any other president in this country. Give me some feedback and let me know if you agree with that. Donald J. Trump has done more for black folks than any other president in this country. Give me some feedback in the comments. Let me know if you agree with that or not.
To stop begging.
Reverend Jesse, where you been?
There were black people who received it last year too, but you're not hearing about that. But what I want to tell you, Tammy, it's time out for black people to stop begging. I'm sick of it. We can make our own way. Black people can make their own way if they get up and do it. That's why we have to overcome this cultural thing, because blacks who are into their culture, they think that all blacks are just like them, begging and blaming and whining and talking about 150 years ago and all that. Why not live now? The blacks didn't do that when I was growing up, especially black men. They need to stop begging for freebies. America is an amazing place, right? And whatever you want to do in this country, you can do it. You can make
it. That thought. Okay, yes, that is true. That is so true. I'll have to agree with you on that, Reverend Jesse. Whatever you want to do in this country, you can do. Yeah. Dr. Umar, earlier you talked about, black men shouldn't date white women. Frederick Douglass was labeled a turncoat by many African Americans because he married a white woman. He was also criticized for his willingness to work with slaves.
Frederick Douglass sat up there and married that white woman. What do y'all think about Frederick Douglass marrying that white woman? Some blacks hold that against him. Some blacks don't hold that against him because they say, no, he was still down for the cause. He married that white woman, but he was still fighting for the cause. I don't know, man. Give me y'all thoughts in the comments.
Slave owners to
check out this bazaar.
Seek a peaceful end to slavery. So what are your thoughts on that? Was
amazing, isn't it? Amazing, isn't it? I'm gonna give you some butter biscuits. Amazing, isn't it?
A sellout?
Let me take the second point first, that Frederick Douglass was willing to work with slave owners to bring a peaceful close to slavery. That is incorrect. Frederick Douglass had always maintained that slavery would not end except with blood. If there was any collaboration with slave owners, it was in discussion, because Frederick Douglass at one time worked with William Lloyd Garrison, who used moral persuasion as the primary weapon to end slavery. Frederick Douglass fell out with him because he knew that trying to convince white people that owning black people was morally wrong was not going to end the institution of slavery. So whoever made that comment was incorrect. Now let's go to the first point, that his second wife was a white woman who he married at a very old age. Was it acceptable? Not to me at all. But what bothers me, and what I do consider to be another act of racism and discrimination against black women, is the fact that Anna Murray Douglass, who is the mother of all 5 of his children, and his wife for nearly 50 years until she died of illness, who helped him escape from slavery to freedom, who came up with the escape plan, who made the escape outfit, who created the false free slave paper that he used to pass from Maryland through Pennsylvania and up to New York, she never gets mentioned. She never gets mentioned. We always skip over Anna Murray Douglass, his lifetime partner, for the white woman who he married just a few years away from the grave himself. I don't accept it.
Important.
I don't accept it, Sister Tammy, but can we please show respect to Queen Mother Anna Murray Douglass? She is entitled to respect, and black people have to stop skipping over his real wife for the woman he spent the last few years of his life with.
Tammy, let me tell you this about the black farmers.
So do you think
farmers are
go ahead,
getting a
Reverend Jesse.
huge freebie from the USDA today, right? According to the Washington Post, $5 billion of Biden's stimulus package is going to benefit Black farmers, but they still going to be begging. It's not going to satisfy them because it's not the lack of material things that Blacks are having a problem with. It's the lack of moral character. Blacks are immoral, not all but most. And
We're going to
until I
take a
come
quick
back to
break.
that-
We'll come
He said blacks are immoral, not all but most. Well, we can say the same thing about white folks. White folks are racist, not all, but most. Anything over 50% represents the majority. Are whites racist? Not all, but most. That applies to white folks as well. How are you going to call black folks immoral, but you're not going to say that the white folks are immoral? Racism, segregation, and hate was created by whites in this country, but you're not going to hold them accountable for being immoral and racist. Racism and colorism ain't nothing but a symptom of racism. Racism, segregation, and hate was created by whites in this country, but you're not holding them accountable for being immoral, for treating black people less than human beings, treating black people like animals, but you're not going to hold them accountable. Why? Because black conservatives can't hold white people accountable if they want to make money on social media. Black conservatives are compromised puppets who are being controlled by the puppet master. And I think we all know who the puppet master is. It's common sense at this point. I don't even have to say it.
right back on the Tammy McLeod Show on Fox Soul. Dr. Umar, what's going on with the school? Where can we contribute? What can you tell us about it, or is there something else you'd rather discuss tonight?
Oh, that's fine. Brothers and sisters who want to support the renovation.
Now, Dr. Umar is full of crap because the school is never going to open. Dr. Umar is never going to open a black school. Now, he's right about the things that he said to Jesse Lee Peterson, but as far as him opening a black school, that's never going to happen. You're not going to see a black school. It'll never happen in a million years. Dr. Umar Johnson is not going to open up a school. He's going to have 1,000,001 excuses for why he can't open a school and why his business venture was a failure. He's never going to admit the truth. He's going to make excuses for why it's never going to happen. That's the smoke that I have for Dr. Umar. Oh, well, it's racism and white supremacy. That's why I can't open up the school. That's why I can't open the school for black boys. I'm going to preach to the black community. I'm going to invest my money in the black community and open up schools to teach black children. Right? Dr. Umar is never going to open up a school for black children. It's not going to happen, family. It ain't nothing but a fantasy. It'll never happen. He got all these donations. People supported him in his movement, and he's never ever going to open up a school to educate black children in this country. It's never going to it's not going to happen. Trust and believe that it's not going to happen. Dr. Umar is never going to open up no school to educate black children in this country. Dr. Umar is not going to do it, and he's going to say that white supremacy is to blame for why he can't open up that school. See, one thing about Dr. Umar is this, and one thing you got to understand about Dr. Umar is this. Anytime he fails in one of his business ventures, he's going to blame systematic white supremacy for why it's never going to happen. White supremacy does exist, but what Dr. Umar is going to do is he's going to blame white supremacy for his failures in his business ventures. So white supremacy will always be the excuse for Dr. Umar for why he can't open up a school to educate black children in this country. White supremacy will always be the excuse for Dr. Umar's failed business ventures. 100%.
At the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy can do so on the Cash App at $FDMG School. I repeat, on the Cash App, $FDMG School. Also on PayPal at paypal.me/FDMG Academy. I will also be speaking in Las Vegas on the 14th of May, Oakland the 15th of May, Los Angeles the 16th of May, Palm Preschool, Air Johnson.
Schedule your whole tour by heart. I don't even know. Were you reading that, officer? How do you know that?
You have to know it by heart. Don't
see the same way that I held Jesse Lee Peterson accountable. I held Dr. Umar accountable. Dr. Umar is never going to open up a black school to educate black children in this country. It's never going to happen. And he's going to blame white supremacy for why he failed at his business venture. That's exactly what he's going to say. Well, you must blame white supremacy for why the black school ain't going to open. Huh?
Hartford, Connecticut, June 26th, Nashville, Tennessee, July 17th.
Okay. I think I'm going to have to meet you in LA since that's where I am. So I'll.
Yes, ma'am. And
Dr. Umar is a good intellectual about black history and intellectual property that comes from black people. But Dr. Umar sucks as a businessman. Dr. Umar is a terrible businessman, but he's a great speaker. He's a great speaker when he wants to talk about black history and the upliftment of black people. He's a great motivational speaker. But Dr. Umar sucks as a businessman. Dr. Umar, I repeat, Dr. Umar sucks as a businessman. He's going to blame white supremacy for why none of his business ventures becomes. He's going to blame white supremacy for why none of his business ventures become successful. He'll just blame it on systematic white supremacy, when it comes to why he failed at his, in his business ventures. He's a great motivational speaker. I give him that. He's intelligent, good. He's a great motivational speaker. But Dr. Umar absolutely sucks when it comes to business. 100%.
Order the new book as well at drumarjohnson.com.
Knocking out the coons, knocking out the haters, knocking out the YouTubians, baby.
Hey, I think I'm going to have to meet you since that's where I am. So I'll.
Yes, ma'am. And they can order the new book as well at drumarjohnson.com.
Knocking out the coons, knocking out the haters, knocking out the YouTubians, baby.
All right, now let's go. Coon train is coming. 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 Oh, man. Oh, you got to get your hands up. Oh, everybody got to get their hands up. Coon train is coming. Coon train is coming. Coon train is coming.
Coon train is coming. What about black on black crime? Coon train is coming. Where the white women at? Coon train is coming. All white peoples ain't bad. Coon train is coming. We is our own worst enemy.
Stacey Dash is on the coon train. Look at Stacey Dash on the coon train.
Coon train is coming. What about black on black crime?
What about black on black crime? Forget about racism in this country. What about black on black crime?
Coon train is coming. Where the white women at?
Oh, he put Kobe Bryant on the coon train too. He put Kobe Bryant on that coon train, man.
All white peoples ain't bad. We is our own worst enemy. What about black on black crime? Where the white women at?
You already know Stephen A. Smith is on the coon train. You know Stephen A. had to get his coon train award.
All white peoples ain't bad. We is our own worst enemy. What about black on black crime? Where the white women at?
All white folks ain't bad. Let me tell you something, black folks. All white folks ain't bad. It's your Negroes who's bad in this country. All white folks ain't racist. All white folks ain't bad.
Peoples ain't bad. All white peoples ain't bad. All white peoples ain't bad. We is our own worst enemy. What about black on black crime? Where the white women at? All white people ain't bad.
Coon train is coming. Coon train is coming. Shout out to the 7030 show for blessing us with a cash app. That is realer than rap. No cap.
Coon train is coming. What about black on black crime? Where the white women at? All white people ain't bad.
Coon train is coming.
What about black on black crime? Where the white women at?
Look at Tommy Sotomayor. You had to put Larry Elder and Tommy Sotomayor.
What about black on black crime? Where the white women at? All white people ain't bad.
He got Tommy Sotomayor up there getting it, dancing to that good old Coon Train music.
We is our own worst enemy.
That look like Lil Boosie. Look like Lil Boosie.
About black on black crime.
Steve Harvey on the Cool Train. Look at Steve Harvey. Look at Steve.
Where the white women at? All white people ain't bad. We is our own worst enemy.
Look at Tommy Sotomayor sitting up there getting it and boogieing in that red suit, dancing to that Coon Train music.
About black on black crime. Where the white women at? All white people ain't bad.
All white people ain't bad. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. White people. All white people ain't bad.
We is our own worst enemy. What about black on black crime?
What about racist white folks in this country? What about black on black crime? Mm-hmm.
Where the white women at? All white people ain't bad. We is our own worst enemy. What about black on black crime? Where the white women at?
Look at Tommy Sotomayor, man. He got Tommy Sotomayor up there getting it.
The white women at? All white people ain't bad. We is our own worst enemy.
Oh man, that was hilarious. I ain't gonna lie, brother. That was hilarious, man. Oh man, that was hilarious. Let's go to the next Coon Train is coming. We got another one coming up right here. Check this out.
What about black on black crime? Where the white women at?
Where's the white women at? I want to know where all the white women's at. I want me a snow bunny. Where's the white women's at?
All white people ain't bad. We is our own worst enemy.
Coon Train is coming.
What about black on black crime? Where the white women at?
Look at Jesse. Look, you got Jesse Lee Peterson. You can't leave out Jesse Lee Peterson boogieing and dancing on a coon train line. Look at Jesse.
All white people ain't bad.
Look at Jesse getting it. I got Jesse up there getting it, dancing to that coon train music.
Where's the white women at? All white people ain't bad. We is our own worst enemy. What about black on?
Jesse Lee Peterson up there getting it.
What about black on black crime? Where's the white women at?
Oh, you know Larry Elder, man. You know you have to put Larry Elder up there too if you're gonna put Jesse Lee Peterson up there.
All white people ain't bad. We is our own worst enemy. What about
All right, let's go to Jesse Lee Peterson. He said he's celebrating White History Month, and we're going to get into that clip right here. Jesse Lee Peterson celebrates White History Month.
You know that July is White History Month?
July is White History Month.
Yeah, did you know that? You know that July is White History Month?
July is White History Month.
Yeah, did you know that?
I did not know that.
All right, happy White History Month.
Fuck White History.
What now? She doesn't like happy.
There's no such thing as white America.
She doesn't.
White Americans feel
Amazing. Hey everybody, welcome to White History Month. July is White History Month. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson on Hollywood Boulevard, and we're celebrating our 8th annual year of White History Month. July just feel white. Amazing. And so we started White History Month because we cannot forget. We got to remember the white man who founded and created the greatest country on this side of heaven. So we're up here to talk to the folks and see how they celebrated White History Month. So we're gonna get moving. Happy White History Month. July just feels white. Amazing. Happy White History.
Amazing.
Amazing. Isn't it
Amazing.
amazing? Isn't it a good idea to have
Amazing.
this country to be great? They want a socialist society.
Now, this fool went to Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, California, and he has a shirt that says celebrating White History Month. Jesse Lee Peterson is the king of Sambos. He's the king of raccoons. The king of raccoons for sure. I don't think anybody has Jesse Lee Peterson beat when it comes to being a raccoon. Maybe Anton Daniels is a runner-up for the crown when it comes to being one of the top raccoons, but Jesse Lee Peterson most definitely holds the crown.
It's unfortunate. Isn't that amazing? Happy White History Month. Did you know that July is White History Month?
I was not aware of it.
Really? Yeah. This is our 8th year celebrating White History Month.
Amazing.
Amazing. Isn't it a good idea to have a White History Month?
Why not?
Right on. Well, happy White History Month.
Well, happy White History.
It's good to meet you, man.
God bless you, brother.
You too. Take care.
White History Month is crazy as fuck. I'm not gonna lie.
Why is it crazy?
Because it's only a Black History Month. I don't know about White History Month.
You know about Black History Month, but not White History Month. Why don't you know about White History Month?
I'm not white.
July is White History Month. Should we celebrate White History Month?
You serious right now?
Right.
You serious?
Just think about it. If it wasn't
What month is White History Month?
July.
That's racist.
Does it sound racist to have Black History Month?
Nah, Black History Month is special though. You know that, bro.
If it wasn't for white people, would there be an American?
Bro, somebody might get hurt, bro.
You can't say if it was for white people because white people didn't build it. They used blacks to build it. So you can say white people and foundational Black Americans are the reason that the United States of America exists today. It was our labor and the white man saying, okay, we're going to use Negroes to build it, and we're going to create this infrastructure based on the wealth that we create off of this free labor from foundational Black Americans. So if you give white people credit for America, you got to give foundational Black Americans the credit, because we are the ones who built it. Regardless, because all they forced you to do it, it doesn't matter. We still built it. White folks didn't build it. So you can't say that there will be no United States without white people. We could also say there would be no United States if it wasn't for Black people doing all the hard work and labor.
So you like really you support right history?
Look,
I see a T-shirt, but do you support it?
yeah,
Like, literally?
100%. Because think about it. If it wasn't for white people, there would be no America, right?
That word and that phrase is just crazy, bro.
But why?
I don't know, bro. Like I don't think they don't get a pat on the back for the that they did back in the day. Bro.
Do you love white people?
I love white people.
So then you should appreciate their country.
That's tough. That's a tough one, bro. Like you talking about like a situation that occurred years ago that people like.
America didn't exist prior to foundational Black Americans building it, right? So you can't give white people credit without giving foundational Black Americans credit. We did all the hard work and labor, and they benefit from the hard work and labor. They became wealthy as a result of our free labor in this country. Without the labor that foundational Black Americans gave to this country, you wouldn't have a United States of America. That's how America got wealthy. They got wealthy from our free labor in this country. So if you want to give white people credit, you also got to give foundational Black Americans the credit for building everything, for doing the hard labor, for doing all the hard work, for building the infrastructure in this country. Foundational Black Americans are the ones who did that hard labor. See, it's mighty funny that they'll give immigrants credit for coming here illegally and working jobs for pennies on the dollars, but they won't give foundational Black Americans the credit when we did all this work for free in this country. And when slavery was abolished, we did it for low pay. So immigrants haven't did anything that we haven't done before. If anything, we've done way more than any immigrant that migrated to this country. Foundational Black Americans paved the way for these immigrants to migrate to this country, so that they can benefit from the civil rights that we fought for as foundational Black Americans. Study the Civil Rights Bill in the 1960s. When you think about Latinos, Asians, Africans, Europeans, they all benefit from the civil rights that Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, fought for in this country. None of these people would have the civil rights that they have in this country if it wasn't for foundational Black Americans who fought for them in the 1960s. Every minority group, all these people of color, every minority group benefit from the civil rights that Black Americans fought for in the 1960s. So they benefit from our hard work. All they had to do was cross the border, come over to America. Now all of a sudden they have civil rights based on what Black Americans fought for. And if you don't believe me, study the history. Quit being stupid.
Still like
150 years ago.
Right.
Well, happy White History, man. Every July is White History Month.
You should ask them. This is an interracial couple. You should ask them right there.
Excuse me.
Just about 5
Can I
more
ask you a
minutes.
question about White History Month?
What?
Are you familiar with July being White History Month?
No.
What do you think about that? It's mind-blowing. Like,
she with a white man. Why would she have a prop? Listen, she with a white man. Look at her.
You should ask them. This is an interracial couple. You should ask them right there.
Excuse me.
Just about 5
Can I
more
ask you a
minutes.
question about
Take
White History
advantage.
Month?
What?
Are you familiar with July being White History Month?
No.
What do you think about that? It's mind-blowing. Like, now they going north. Now they going north. Gonna run it around like now they... I'm sorry?
No comment.
No comment? How about you? What do you think about White History Month?
No comment.
Did you know about White History Month? That July is White History Month? What do you think about that?
I don't know.
Is that a good idea?
It's a bad idea.
Why is it a bad idea?
No, I think it needs equal.
They already done the equal thing. We
I
can't
know.
do it anymore for them.
Can't do any more.
For the people of color, we gotta appreciate white history. Isn't it true that if it wasn't for the white man, there would be no America? Isn't that true?
No, it just would look different.
So what now?
It just would look different.
Is it true that God made it possible for white men to discover the greatest country. Isn't that true?
No.
And it's not true?
No.
How about you? You love America?
Stay on him.
Hello?
Hi.
You love America?
Do you?
Yeah. Look at my shirt.
I know. History.
And I started 8 years ago, I started White History Month. Isn't that a good idea? To show my appreciation for my country. Happy White History Month.
Thank you.
All right.
The chase down.
Welcome to the gift shops here at the historic TCL Chinese
A
Theater.
lot of these people are foreigners. Happy White History Month. Did you know that July is White History Month?
There's a White History Month? Isn't that like a... That's weird.
July is White History Month.
White people don't want to, they don't want to agree with that because they don't want to look racist on camera. So they're going to laugh at that and they're going to keep it pushing.
This is our 8th year of celebrating White History Month.
Okay.
Is that a good idea?
I don't think it's very necessary.
Why
but,
not? They have
a lot of history, and the way that it's taught is white history, unfortunately.
They don't
it's
even
not the full
teach white
story.
history anymore. They teach false history.
False history?
Yeah, they got black history.
I'm a history teacher.
But they have, do they tell the truth about this great country?
Absolutely.
Do you?
Most of what I teach is about white history.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
And do you agree that it's time?
I don't know, I'm getting
Do you
interviewed
agree
here.
it's a time to have a White History Month?
Well, it's my birthday month, so I'm more excited to celebrate
You
that.
were born in July?
I was born in July, so perfect timing.
You
for
are
White History.
so fortunate.
Well, I was born in July. I'm a July baby, but I don't celebrate no damn White History Month, and I'm a July baby.
We should be grateful that there are men who founded, white men, who founded and built the greatest country on this side of heaven. Isn't that true?
I mean, every country has its ups and downs, so I think it's a pretty good one, but there are always ways to improve it.
Right, but shouldn't we be grateful that these white men, with the help of God,
I mean, they built it on the backs of a lot of people who were not white.
What do you mean?
Well, we can't say that he wouldn't do this down south. You got black people that's still getting hung down south. See, you got people who like to talk about the Mexicans who are racist in California, but think about Mississippi. A black dude just got hung in Mississippi. Some black kids earlier this year were lynched by a white man in Georgia. So what do you mean they wouldn't do this down south? Southern states listen, when you think about racism, the southeast region of this country is the capital of racism in this country. Although racism exists everywhere in this country, but what do you mean it won't happen in the South? They just hung a black student at an HBCU in Mississippi. MAGA white people went to a university in Tennessee to speak on their, to preach about their ideologies and talking points, and they went to a black university to do it. There was a black guy who just got hung in North Carolina less than a year ago. So when you say this wouldn't happen in the South, do you realize that there's a lot of black people that's still getting hung in these sundown towns all across the southeast region of this country? So of course it would happen in the South. I did a story in Mississippi about white police officers abusing black people, tying them up, abusing them, and just taking advantage of them. That happened in Mississippi. So we can't say that this will never happen down south. Down south has some of the most, listen, the southeast, you think about the southeast region of this country, that's where some of the most racism takes place. Yes, you have racism in California. Yes, you have racism in Chicago, racism in New York, but nobody takes the cake when it comes, listen, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, they take the cake when it comes to racism. So we can't fix our mouth and say this will never happen in the South when all of this racism in the country started in the South. Then it spread it out to other states across the country. But when you think about racism, what's the first thing you think about when it comes to racism? You think about Texas. You think about Louisiana, you think about Mississippi, you think about Alabama. I'm just being honest with you, family.
Enslaved people and the Native American population that they took the land from.
But they didn't take it from them. They didn't own them. The Indians were just living here smoking pot. Isn't that true?
Fair. I don't know. I feel like they've used the land in a more productive way, and we kind of contribute to a much more commercial kind of society, consumerism. I don't know if that's necessarily as healthy as what.
Yeah, man, you see white boys in these southern states riding around with Confederate flags on their trucks. So what do you mean that this wouldn't happen down south? Some of the most brutal acts of violence when it comes to racism was committed in Alabama, Texas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina. When you think about the majority of racially motivated attacks, it took place in the southern states. Now, of course, there's a lot of racism in California, New York, and Chicago. But when you think about racism, what comes to mind? Study the history. You ain't got to take my word for it.
The Native American populations were doing, but
look at them now. They live in Vegas and they do nothing. So aren't you grateful that God did this?
God did this.
I mean, happy White History Month.
It's White History Month.
I mean, thank you.
All right, we're gonna look at stuff.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And happy White History Month. Evers is part of White History Month. Whoa, happy White History Month. You ain't nothing but a hound dog dancing all around. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, and you ain't no friend of mine. Yeah.
White History Month with a shirt on that says White History Month. Jesse Lee Peterson is the king of raccoons. Jesse Lee Peterson takes the crown when it comes to raccoons. 100%.
Do you think that's a good idea to have White History Month?
No.
Right on. And why? You say yes or no? No, why not?
Because they're erasing our history. Every time we come into a curriculum, we're not learning about anyone's history. We're learning about their history, what's been done to everyone else but them. I want to see what happened to them. Fuck that. No. Everyone has their own like cultures, everything like that. I feel like they don't need a history month or none of that because we learn that shit every day. When we're in history classes, they slowly erase our history and other people's history just to promote and push their shit. So no, I don't think so.
And so if it wasn't for white men, there would be no America. And so where would you be? You'd be
somewhere
stuck in Africa somewhere.
Maybe, or maybe not.
You
I don't know
don't
where I'm
want to
from.
be in Africa.
But I don't know where I'm from though. Also, we don't know our background genetics.
Well, whites will be in Europe if it wasn't for America, right? So if you're gonna tell blacks, oh, they got to go back to Africa, how come you don't tell whites that they need to go back to Europe?
I don't know our ancestry, so I don't know where I would be.
But are you grateful to be in America?
Some days.
You love white people?
Yeah.
You love white people?
Yeah, I love everybody.
And are you grateful for will you celebrate White History with us?
Nah.
You won't? Why not show your appreciation?
I do it every day. I work every day.
No, that's not it.
Yeah. I say hi. I be nice.
Oh, amazing. Happy White History Month.
You too.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about White History Month?
No.
No, not really. Yeah.
And why not?
Why
Come
not?
back. No? I want to ask you about it.
I celebrate every day.
Is White History Month a good idea?
That's a good idea.
And why?
So we can see what they claim.
And are you grateful to God that he gave the white man the ability to discover and build the greatest country on the planet around the world?
I'm grateful to God for everything. Man.
Right on. So we need to remember white history, right?
Got to.
Right on.
Yeah, ain't no black history without white history.
I rest my case.
Let's go. Hey, look, we need white history so we can expose what they make claims to, you know? So the people in the comments can say, no, black people did that.
Amazing. Happy White History Month. Thank you, man. Amazing. The Great White Hope. They call him King. This is the Great White Hope. Did you know July's White History Month?
I know, you made it that way.
Right. Isn't that amazing?
I know.
Is that a good idea?
Oh, no.
Is it time that we have White History Month?
I think we should just have American month every month.
But they have everything but White History Month. Is it time we have White History?
I don't know. I'm not going to say that. I'm only 30 years old.
So what?
I'm only 30 years old. In my opinion, I know absolutely nothing.
You don't?
Nope. I know absolutely
nothing. Do you know that America was founded by white men?
Oh, yeah.
And they built the greatest country on this side of the planet?
I'm not going to argue with that one bit.
America was not founded by white men. There were people already living here when white settlers and Europeans showed up. You had people that was already living here. Now, if you want to talk about establishing the United States of America, then you got to give black people credit. Why? Because black people built it. Black people did all the labor. Right? So if you're going to say, oh, well, whites founded America, no, they didn't. You had people already living here. You had blacks was already living here. You had other groups of people who was already here. So you can't say that the whites founded America. That is a bold-faced lie, because they did not. You had people already living here when those white Europeans showed up. And the hell you gonna?
And shouldn't we don't forget about that? Remember
absolutely.
that. So we need White History Month there, right?
I think.
Well, if you say blacks down south, well, check them. What have blacks done in Mississippi for that black kid getting hung at Delta State University? What did blacks in Mississippi do about that? And that ain't me knocking my people, but I gotta say, if you guys down south are so big and bad, what have you done about that black student getting lynched and hung at Delta State University? What did blacks do about that? Are they just complaining on the news, or did they go to the streets to settle the score? I don't know. Maybe you guys can put me up on game about something.
Every month should be loving America, no matter what you are.
I know, but that's not the way it is.
Yeah, no, it's not. People have
they got everything.
People love to talk about California, but what are blacks doing in Mississippi about that black student getting hung? Are they doing something about it? You know, those blacks that got victimized by those white police officers in Mississippi, did blacks do something about that? Did they settle the score? I mean, I'm just saying, it's easy to criticize Cali, but you're not paying attention to what's going on in your own backyard. I did a story a year ago about a black man being drugged and hung in Mississippi. He was going to work. He got caught in the sun downtown. Whites unalived him and drugged his body for a mile. Unalived his brother. It happened in Mississippi. His car broke down in the sun downtown. He was trying to get to work, and he was lynched and attacked by a group of white supremacists in the state of Mississippi. Right? He was attacked in Mississippi as if it was still the 1930s. This just happened in 2023, only 2 years ago.
But White History Month. I know. You love white people?
I love white people.
Right on.
My email, man. My email is I'm gonna put my email in the chat for you, bro. So shout out to Detroit 313. Let's get some brothers to act like they love this content, man. Bless the Cash App and support the show. If let's get it.
Are you glad we have a White History Month?
Are you glad what?
That we have July's White History Month. Is it about time?
Honestly, everybody should have everything the same.
And shouldn't we have a white? They have every month but White History Month. Shouldn't we have a White History Month?
I mean, I think that's irrelevant.
And why is that?
I think that there's a lot bigger issues than having a specific month dedicated to celebrating a certain type of ethnicity.
But they have Black history, they have Mexican history, they have Japanese, Chinese, women, they have everything but white history. And isn't it true that if it wasn't for white people, there would be no America?
There you go, man. It's in the chat right there. So if you want to email me, you want to send me something, the Gmail is in the chat. Send something to that.
Necessarily true now.
Why is not true?
Because there's all kinds of races here, and there has been even in the past before there was white people.
But
here.
they weren't. Who? Like who?
Who? Well, the Native Americans and
but they were just smoking pot. They weren't doing anything. They were just smoking. They were getting high.
I mean, everything's evolving.
They were living in the woods getting high.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So it wasn't American. So are you grateful that God gave to white men the ability to discover and create the best country in the world?
Sure, but I also believe that sharing it with everybody is also the best.
But they don't appreciate it.
Well, I mean, that's everybody.
True or not?
Not everybody does.
Right.
Not everybody appreciates everything in life.
So we gotta remember white history because they are rewriting the history, and they're not.
They're rewriting the history now. Who's notoriously known for rewriting history in this country? I think we all know that's white people. White people took a lot of stuff out of the history books so that they didn't have to give foundational Black Americans credit for a lot of things that they built, for a lot of things that they created, for the free labor that they gave to this country. Whites erased a lot of things out of those history books. But Jesse Lee Peterson would never hold them accountable for rewriting history and also erasing history. He'll never hold white folks accountable for that. Not Jesse Lee Peterson. Oh, no.
We should just remember, if we're here in America, we should remember American history.
But they
you know what I mean?
Right, 100%.
Everything's evolving. Every flag was built on a little bit of blood.
But they're erasing the history. Aren't you concerned about that? And rewriting it, they're telling lies.
Of course they are. That's how they control.
So that's why we have White History Month, to remember and not to forget, and then to remind generations to come about the greatness of the men who founded this country.
Absolutely.
Tell them the truth, right?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
That's
Well,
right.
happy White History Month.
Thank you.
You love white people?
I love all people.
How about white? You love white people? Right on.
I love all people.
Happy White History Month.
Thank you, sir.
Happy
White History Month.
Right on.
Thank you.
Shout out to Black Man Rising for the super chat. Realer than rap. No cap. Listen, man, we've been on here for 2 hours. I'm getting ready to wrap this one up.
July just feel white.
That's right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good
Big
one.
fan.
Thank you.
Careful.
Let me talk to you about White History Month.
Shout out to my man Detroit 313 for blessing us with a cash app like always. My man Detroit 313. That's what's up.
Did you know that July is White History Month?
Hell no. It's really White History Month?
Yeah, this is our 8th year. Did you know it?
I know.
What do you think about we have White History Month?
Wait, I've seen you somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Isn't it about time that we have White History Month?
No, I don't really think we need one.
Why not?
Can we go?
Because what culture do white people have besides like rock and roll and whatever? Like what?
But isn't it true that?
R.I.P. Ozzy. Let's go. R.I.P. Ozzy.
Amazing. What do you think about? Should we have a July as White History?
Oh, she finna go in on Jesse Lee Peterson right here. She stood on business. She definitely stood on business. And check this out. This is a good conversation. Shout out to the nation. This is Red Supreme. Support the damn game and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Bless that like button. It don't cost nothing.
No, what would be the purpose of that?
Because we have Black History Month, Japanese.
But what about white
Mexican,
history are we supporting?
Because if it wasn't for white men, there would be no America.
But the white men used the blacks and the slaves to build their America. What did white men do specifically?
Shout out to Black Man Rising. He said, man, you're monetized. Yeah, man, and we're monetized over here on King Supreme TV. We've been demonetized for a few years over there on Red Supreme TV 1. So I decided to come to King Supreme TV, and we're monetized over here. So we're going to keep the language clean. You know what I mean? So I can get all this ad revenue, man, because I haven't, my channel haven't been, the last time I had a monetized channel was 2021. That was 4 years ago. So what does that tell you? I've been grinding, putting in all this work, just receiving cash apps and PayPals and Venmos. The last time I had a monetized channel was 2021. And just a week ago, we got monetized on King Supreme. So, hey, man, that's my accomplishment right there. and I'm gonna celebrate, man, and I'm gonna give a toast to that. Anyway, man, we're gonna get back to this conversation.
R.I.P. Ozzy, let's go.
Amazing. What do you think about, should we have a July as White History Month?
No, what would be the purpose of that?
Because we have Black History Month, Japanese,
But what about white history
Mexican.
are we supporting?
Because if it wasn't for white men, there would be no America.
But the white men used the blacks and the slaves to build their America. What did white men do specifically?
But they paid them, though. It wasn't for
They didn't pay us fair wages. They might have.
Wow. She said they used black people to build a country. Jesse Lee fixed his raggedy mouth to say, well, whites paid them. No, they didn't. Blacks didn't get paid for the free labor that we gave to this country. We never got paid. You got immigrants who come from foreign countries that benefit off of the civil rights that black Americans fought for. All they did is all these immigrants did was show up to get free stuff. And all of these immigrants, I don't care if they come from Africa or Latin America, they benefit from the civil rights that black Americans fought for once they come to this country. Black Americans did all the hard work. We fought for the civil rights of all minorities and all people of color. And guess what? A lot of these immigrants still have hatred for black people, even though they benefit for what we fought for, which is the civil rights movement. The nerve of these people. The only reason these immigrants from Latin America, Africa, and all these other places across the world, the only reason they have civil rights in this country, because black Americans fought for the civil rights of all minorities and all people of color in this country. But a lot of these people are too ignorant to understand history. Therefore, they'll never pay homage. They'll just show you their racism and ignorance. That's an unfortunate situation, but it is true.
Paid us a pig feet. Yeah, they paid us pig feet and red beans and rice, but
no, they gave you History Month, Japanese.
But what about
Mexican.
white history are we supporting?
Because if it wasn't for white men, there would be no America.
But the white men used the blacks and the slaves to build their America. What did white men do specifically?
But they paid them, though. It wasn't for
They didn't pay us fair wages. They might have paid us a pig feet. Yeah, they paid us pig feet and red beans and rice. But
no, they gave you a place to live and they bought you
7
food.
acres and a meal.
Right.
Did we all get that?
Everybody got it.
No, we didn't.
Welfare.
No, we didn't.
Welfare.
I'm from Altadena. We're middle class. Those people, they cultivated, I don't even know the word, but they cultivated the land. They built their own roads. They built their own schools. That up in Altadena. The history of Altadena, blacks. Altadena was middle class. Pasadena was for the presidents. President Roosevelt, all of the presidents went to hang out and live in Pasadena. Altadena was a middle class. Nobody in Altadena was a slave. They gave us our freedom. So they cultivated and they worked the land. What did a white person do?
Be in America?
I'm not.
Live in a white America?
I'm not. I don't live in a white America. I do not.
Where do you live?
I live in a black America.
Kalima said, Kalima said they are blocked, right? So why don't you email me? And like I said, I'm gonna drop my email in the chat. So email me, let me know what your handler name is. Let me know what your handler name is, and I will unblock you. I have no problem. I will unblock you. So
is that in America? That's in America, right?
But in a black America, I don't live. There's no such thing as a white America.
So you don't like the idea of White History Month?
There is no such thing as white history.
July.
There's no such thing as that, though.
July is White History
Just
Month.
because you say, look, standing in a garage, you can stand in a garage all day long and say.
I just dropped my email in the chat. So if you've been blocked and you feel like you've been blocked for no reason, maybe you were blocked for reason. A lot of people get blocked for good reason. Then some people say, well, I was blocked by accident. I don't know. I'm gonna judge it case by case. Some people deserve to be blocked, and some people got blocked for frivolous reasons. But I'll be the judge of that. AMBOR, you see it in the chat right there, man. And that's my Gmail. Give me your handler name. Give me your handler name, and I'll see. And I'm gonna look you up, and I'm gonna see if you've been supporting my channel. Because a lot of people who are complaining about being blocked, they never supported my channel. I can't look up any cash apps that you send. I can't look up any super chats that you send. I can't look up any PayPals or Venmos that you sent. Right? But I will consider it. But I need contributors and supporters of this channel right here. That's what we really need.
Middle class. Nobody in Altadena was a slave. They gave us our freedom. So they cultivated, they worked the land. What did a white person do?
You happen to be in America?
I'm not.
Living in white America?
I'm not. I don't live in a white America. I do not.
Where do you live?
I live in a black America.
Is that in America? That's in
a
America,
black America,
right?
but in a black America, I don't live. There's no such thing as a white America.
So you don't like the idea of White History Month?
There is no such thing as white history.
July.
There's no such thing as that though.
July is White History
Just
Month.
because you say, and look, standing in a garage, you can stand in a garage all day long and say you're a Cadillac, but that don't make you a Cadillac.
8 years of White History Month.
But we don't know what history is there that the white people are supporting. What history? The only history the white people have is when they ran into the Capitol. That's the only thing white people will be known for.
Think about this. White men founded and created the greatest country.
No, they didn't create.
On the
What
planet.
did they create? Did they make
America.
Did they make the flag? Did they make roads? Did they make school lessons?
Did
they cook food? Black people did all. Indigenous people did all of that. Indians,
Black
Asians.
people didn't do that.
Yes, we did. Black people were the first people of fancy dining. No white person knew how to cook for themselves. Every slave worked in a house. So no white person cooked.
He said black people don't build, they destroy. Black people built this country, sir. White people burned down Black Wall Street. Study Black Wall Street. Who burned that down? Who destroyed it? It was white people. Who destroyed Wilmington, North Carolina? These were white people. These are towns that were built by black people with no reparations or no handouts from the government. Who destroyed Elaine, Arkansas? White people destroyed that. Ocoee, Florida. Study July Perry. Study the Ocoee, Florida massacre. And you're going to see who destroyed that community, who destroyed that town. These were white people. But it's mighty funny that he accuses us of destroying things. You can't name one city or one town that was owned by whites that black people just burned down and destroyed because we feared the progress of white people. But I could name several cities across the country where blacks built these towns and cities from scratch, and it was destroyed by racist white people who got the okay from the government. And they were backed up by law enforcement. But he got the nerve to say that black people destroy stuff, but he's not holding white people accountable for all of the things that they destroyed in this country.
Okay, go.
Black people don't build, they only destroy.
No, we don't. Some do. White people only destroy. We could say the same thing about white people.
But let me ask, do you love white people?
I do not.
You don't love white people?
I do not.
Are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
How can you be a Christian?
White people destroyed Rosewood, Florida. There was a town in Bakersfield, California. I'm trying to think of the name of it. But that was destroyed. Right? Springfield, Illinois was destroyed. East St. Louis. Right? There's many cities and many towns across the country that was destroyed by white racists because they feared the progress of blacks in this country. So whites sabotaged those communities that blacks built independent of the government, no reparations and no handouts, and blacks built these towns from scratch. Many cities across the country, but Jesse will never talk about the towns that white people destroyed because they feared the progress of foundational black Americans in this country. White people have destroyed several communities that were built by foundational black Americans from scratch. Jesse will never hold white people accountable for the things that they've destroyed in this country. Not only Jesse Lee Peterson, black conservatives in general can't hold white people accountable for the black communities that they've destroyed across this country. Black conservatives are puppets. Black conservatives are puppets 100%. They are compromised people who can't hold white folks accountable for anything. Black conservatives are worthless. They are compromised.
I love Kirk Franklin. I love Juanita Bynum. I got black people to love.
How can you be a Christian?
What do I love about a white person? What does white people do that's Christian-like?
How can you be a Christian and not love white people?
What do white people do that's Christian-like? White people used to put our mouths on a corner and kick our head in. How can you tie white people to Christianity?
How can you love white?
How can you? I'm a history scholar.
You're not
remember the Lutheran church?
They used to scare
my question. Are you going to say, how can black people be Christians? How could white people be Christians enslaving another group of people for their own financial gain? If white people were Christians, they would have never enslaved black people for centuries to get paid off for their free labor. Even when slavery was abolished, Jim Crow lasted from 1865 to 1965. So if white people were really Christians, why would they treat black people less than human beings if these white people were real Christians? But of course, Jesse Lee Peterson will never hold white folks accountable for that. He's a hypocrite. Jesse Lee Peterson is a hypocrite. He wants to hold black people accountable, but never wants to hold white people accountable for anything.
Okay, how can I love white people?
How can you be a Christian?
Okay, and love white people.
Not love white people.
How can you be a Christian and not love white people?
Right.
What do white people support as Christianity? I like my life. I don't like being lynched. What?
You're not answering the question.
How can I be a Christian and not like white people kill people? Does God like that?
How can you
Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind. Do white people?
He want to say if black people were Christians, well, the white people were really Christians and they were living by the word of God, they would have never enslaved black people for financial gain. They would have never practiced Jim Crow for 100 years for their own benefit financially. So the real question is, how could white people claim to be Christians, especially when you understand their history in this country? Shut up. Shut your mouth.
Okay, well, good. We go all day, baby. Here. There's nothing about a white person. How can I be a Christian and not love white people? Right. White people are murderers.
You're not answering the question.
How can I be a Christian? How can I? No, you don't like the answer I'm giving you. I'm answering the question. You just can't see the answer. How is it possible to be a Christian
and not love white people?
It's possible.
How could white people claim to be Christians and not love black people, and you treated black people less than human beings? You treated black folks like animals. How could white people be Christians knowing the history of this country and how they treated black folks poorly and unfairly in this country? So the real question is, how could white people claim to be how could white people claim to be Christians when you understand the history of this country, knowing all the how they practice how they enforce systematic white supremacy, how they enforce slavery, how they got wealthy off of our free labor, how they practiced Jim Crow 100 years after slavery was abolished. So the real question is, how could white people claim to be Christians when you understand the true history of this country, knowing everything that whites have done throughout the history in this country? So how could they claim to be Christians when you how could they claim to be Christians when you understand the true history of this country? That is the real question. So if you're going to question anybody for being Christians, you need to question white people. White people benefit from slavery. They benefit from Jim Crow. White people got wealthy from practicing racism and white supremacy in this country. So if you're going to ask anybody, or if you're going to question anybody's Christian status in this country, you should be questioning white people. 100%.
Because God teaches us to love people who love back. God teaches us to give God teaches us to give forgiveness to those who do. Okay, but God doesn't say to just love people who kill you. God doesn't say to love people that lynch you.
He said love your enemy.
Right, he does.
And you don't love
a white person is not my enemy. They can't even get on a battlefield and actually, they can't go back and forth and debate with me. A white person just looks at us and say, I hate you. That's all. I hate you.
Let me ask.
I hate you.
If it wasn't for white people building the greatest country in the world, where would you be?
White people did not build this country.
Whites didn't build this country. Now, they came up with a master plan to get rich off of our labor, but white people did not build America. Now, they came with a master plan, but they did not build America. White people are not the builders of this country. Now, they came up with a game plan and a master plan, true indeed, but blacks are the true builders of this country, not white people. White people sat back while black people did all the work, and they became wealthy as a result of our free labor to this country. Whites got wealthy from the free labor that blacks gave to this country. That is a fact, homie. It's easy for you to come up with a game plan if you're using other people to do all the hard work and all the labor. You're going to sit back, collect the money. Now you got time to come with all these ideas because you done brought a whole nother group of people over to do all the hard work, all the labor, and you got wealthy as a result of their free labor. Blacks are the builders, whites are the manipulators. Let me repeat that. Blacks are the builders of America and whites are the manipulators. Whites got wealthy off of our free labor. We're the builders and whites are the manipulators. Whites got wealthy in this country through treason, racism, manipulation, and extreme violence. That is how they got wealthy in this country. They didn't get wealthy from whites didn't get wealthy in this country for honest hard work. Whites got wealthy in this country for being demonic, practicing racism. White people in America, white people in the United States of America didn't get wealthy because of honest hard work. No, they did not.
You be?
White people did not build this country.
Where will you be?
I'd still be here because my ancestors built this. Yes, they did. I can give you the history. I worked for the NAACP for years. No, I worked for the NAACP for years. Altadena was built by black people. NAACP was built by Altadena was built by black people. Altadena was built by black people. So white people didn't build this America. White people did not build this America. I would still be here because my black ancestors built this America.
We don't care about the white woman. What she's saying is black people built Altadena, and she's right about that. You know, Altadena is Los Angeles County. You have Pasadena, Altadena. That's right out. That's those communities are on the outskirts of Los Angeles. As soon as you go outside of the city limits of Los Angeles, but it's still Los Angeles County. You have Altadena. You have Pasadena. You have Monrovia. You know, you have Whittier. You have all those places right outside the Los Angeles city limits. But don't get it twisted. Blacks build Altadena. She's 100% correct.
No, I am calm.
Did you know that white people, the NAACP was founded by white women?
Did you know a lot of black people built the lands that you hang out on?
You're not answering the question.
Do you know the FBI was built just to break down the Black Panther?
You're not going to answer that question?
What question did you have?
Did you know the NAACP?
The FBI was built to dismantle the Black Panthers. She's 100% correct. But Jesse Lee Peterson don't want to deal with that.
It was founded by a white woman.
Oh, that's fine. But she probably was married to a black man. I'm just saying, let's go. Let's debate.
You're not
are you
debating.
pro-white people?
You're not debating.
Are you pro-white people?
You're not debating.
Are you pro-white people?
No.
Are you pro-white people? I'm not against white people.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. You're not accepting my answers. No, you said, how can you be a Christian and not love white people? White people slaughtered us. White people put our faith. Yes, they did. Okay, well, then that's your truth.
Then you have Duarte too, like Los Angeles County, like you have Altadena, Pasadena, Monrovia, Duarte. That's right outside the LA city limits, but that's still Los Angeles County. The San Gabriel Valley, Altadena, Pasadena, Monrovia, Duarte. Please understand it, homie.
What question did you have?
Did you know the NAACP was founded by a white woman?
Oh, that's fine, but she probably was married to a black man. I'm just saying, let's go. Let's debate.
You're not debating.
You pro-white people?
You're not debating.
Are you pro-white people?
You're not debating.
Are you pro-white people?
No.
Are you pro-white people? I'm not against white people.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. You're not accepting my answers. No, you said, how can you be a Christian and not love white people? White people slaughtered us. White people put our faith. Yes, they did. Okay, well, then that's your truth. My truth is different. I would still be in America because white Americans did not build this America. Blacks did. Ask who built these buildings. Really, right now, go Google. Google who built this amphitheater. Google who did all that. Like, Google who built all these buildings. Google who built these buildings, and I promise you it won't be a blonde hair with a blue eyes. You do that.
Happy White History Month.
It's no such thing as that. You're the only black person out here.
No.
And July ain't that. This summertime. This is shake that ass time.
Doesn't July feel?
It's not.
Doesn't July feel white?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
No.
Summertime.
No, it doesn't.
Amazing.
Nobody supported. We support.
Yeah, Jesse Lee Peterson is a troll. Clearly, Jesse Lee Peterson is a troll because nothing he says makes sense. She's told him, like, man, blacks built this country. We did all the free labor. We created a lot of things that white folks took credit for. Black Americans are the reason that people from Latin America, Africa, people across the world, we're the reason that they can come to this country and enjoy civil rights because black Americans were the ones in the 1960s fighting for civil rights. We had dogs sicked on us. We got thrown in prison. We got lynched and unalived. We put our life on the line so that our people could have civil rights. And guess what? All minorities and other people of color benefit from the civil rights that black Americans fought for. What did these people do? They showed up once the red carpet was laid out. They didn't do anything to push this country forward. They showed up because they benefit from everything that we fought for as Black Americans. None of these people from Latin America, Africa, Europe, or any other place across the world, none of these people would have civil rights in this country if it wasn't for Black Americans fighting for the civil rights that they have today. It was Black Americans being lynched in the 1960s, the 50s, the 30s, the 40s, the 20s, the 1800s. We put our life on the line for everybody to enjoy civil rights in this country. No other group could say that they did that. They showed up once the benefits were being handed out. But did they put in the work? No. Did they get lynched by white folks? No. They showed up once foundational Black Americans paved the way for them to come here so that they can benefit off of the civil rights that we fought for. 100%.
Juneteenth now. Nobody supported fireworks or none of that. Now, if you go to Thousand Oaks, if you go to Malibu,
Juneteenth is a waste of time.
That's fine. That maybe to you because you're walking around with a white history shirt, so I can see how that's a waste of time to you.
It's a waste of time.
You are Uncle Ruckus. You really want to be white, but you Black. You know that, right? You know that? You Black, right? You know we got the same skin tone, and you a little bit darker than me, honey.
I'm Black. It's the 8th of May. Happy White History Month.
Come on, babies. Come on, Black, beautiful babies.
All right, we're gonna wrap this one up, man. Jesse Lee Peterson is clearly a troll. He's trolling because he'll never admit when somebody makes a valid point. He'll just move the goalposts and talk about something else. That's exactly what Jesse Lee Peterson does. So we're going to get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. I appreciate everybody for showing up. Make sure that you guys bless the like button. It ain't nothing. King Supreme TV. Subscribe to the channel.